y'all, it's Kay from the Literary Apothecary, and welcome back to my channel. I am back with another Books My Boyfriend Gave Me reading vlog for A Song of Ice and Fire series. I've started A Feast for Crows book, I think 4 is what I'm on now. It's the bright red cover this time. And I am about 7% in according to the audiobook. A couple chapters in the prologue in, 65 in this mass market paperback. And thanks to Kyle at Read by Kyle. I'm going to link his channel in the description below because he's been such a help for me during this reading, because there are times that I get so confused, and he's there answering every one of my questions because he's read and loved this book series so many times. So Kyle helped clarify some things that I was a little confused on in the beginning. So one of the things that up until now George R. R. Martin has been very consistent with is his chapter titles are just the character perspective that we get during that chapter. However, in this book, A Feast for Crows, we get the prologue, which is normal, and then we get, I think, 2 chapters after the prologue that have different kinds of names to them. And they threw me off because I wasn't sure how I was supposed to read these, if they were just differently named chapters or if they were parts of the prologue that we got before. Because we get the prophet and then we get the captain of guards. And according to Kyle, these are basically regular chapters, and the chapter titles are essentially just the identity of the main perspective that we get. So just like we get, the first one up that's a normal title is Cersei. The captain of the guards and the prophet is supposed to be read just the way that those are. So that was really helpful starting this book off to learn that. Because I wasn't sure, sometimes you read the prologue differently than you read the rest of the book. So I wasn't sure if I was supposed to read it in that vein or in vein of the normal chapters. But Kyle definitely helped me by clarifying that. So now I am set on that. Just a really quick comment so far. We are getting different points of views than we did in the first couple books. For instance, a good part of these first 65 pages, we're in Dorne and we're with the Dornish prince. And we're seeing everything kind of happening in Dorne. Remember, Princess Marcella, Cersei's daughter, was sent down to Dorne to marry one of the princes there. So she is there, but everyone else in Dorne is, as far as I understand it, Dornish. And they're essentially trying to figure out how best to prepare for this inevitable war with the Lannisters and Stannis, Baratheon, and everyone up north, essentially, because I think they're down south. And one of the characters says we just need to wait for them to come to us, prepare ourselves for them to come here, because they know, this character had a feeling, since they have Princess Marcella, that eventually the Lannisters will come to them. And so they just need to sit and prepare. Meanwhile, after she leaves her audience with the prince orders his captain to round up all of his brother's daughters, the sand worms, I think they call them, or something like that. The sand snakes, not the sand worms. Close enough. So all of them are being rounded up, except for one who's like 20 and she is not in Dorne. So I have a feeling something's going to happen with her. But I am really excited to get back into A Song of Ice and Fire series and see where George R. R. Martin takes this series. So now I'm about 200 pages into A Feast for Crows. And One of the things that I'm loving most about this book in this series is that we get some different points of views that we haven't really gotten before, or we haven't gotten as much in the previous books. I'm talking about those side characters that are always there, but you never hear directly from. You know, I love them side characters, so I am loving that point of view. We also, because of certain events that have happened already, we get different glimpses of different characters. So Brienne is on the search for Sansa. She is going far and wide to find Sansa, and so we're following her on that journey. We've got, oh, of course, Tywin Lannister is dead now. And so we're starting to see kind of Cersei have to grovel for what she gets. People are treating her with less respect than she thinks she deserves. And she's starting to feel her position shift a little bit. Tommen is still the king, technically, but he's a boy. He's very young. I think younger than Joffrey was when he became king, if I remember. I could be wrong about that. But she's, without her dad, or her, without her dad in the hand of the king position, she's not getting as much respect as she was before. So there's that. There's tension between her and Jaime also, because she wants to marry Jaime. She wants to run away with Jaime, essentially. And Jaime is part of the guard. He's a commander. He's got the white cloak, and that's his life. So he was standing guard, doing his duty over Tywin's body during, the funeral processions. We see that happening. And we also see Jon Snow taking control at the wall in the north. He sends Samwell out to essentially the university to learn how to become his maester. So there's that, and Arya is now off on her own, trying to survive and trying to figure out what to do now. So we've got some interesting things happening, interesting points of view, and I'm really looking forward to, this book and the rest of this series as it is right now, and, just seeing where this series goes, and where George R. R. Martin diverts from where the TV series went. So, yep. So now we've met up with Asha Greyjoy, who is Theon Greyjoy's sister and Balon Greyjoy's daughter, and she is such a spitfire. Holy cow. I remember her from the show briefly, and she was completely badass. I loved her character so much, and I'm so excited that we get to dive into her head. I can't wait to read more from her point of view. So another check-in now for a feast for crows. About 56%, I think it said, through. So we're moving right along here. In this last chapter that I just read, it's a chapter in Samwell's point of view. Remember, he is now on his journey to become a maester. He's with Maester Aemon and Gilly and the baby. They've stopped in a town kind of as like a layover on their sea journey, and without knowing it, Samwell runs into Arya. They don't know who each other are. Arya recognizes him as a brother of the Black, and that's all she knows about him. Samwell doesn't know that's Arya, Jon Snow's sister, and they have a very quick interaction, and then that's it for that chapter. I'm hoping they circle back together or something later in this book and make that connection, because that would be, if they don't and they realize it later, wow, that's one hell of a coincidence. But that was like the last big aha moment. Not a lot really has happened in this book. I mean, a lot has happened, but not a lot has happened. Cersei is appointing her own little advisors and council, basically taking over the regency of and ruling in Tommen's case, and Brienne is still on the hunt for Sansa, and that's kind of where we're at now. There have been lords that are at the Eyrie trying to essentially take over control from Littlefinger. Yeah, that's about it. But that moment with Samwell and Arya was really, really good. Yeah. So I finished A Feast for Crows. Cersei is uncontrollable now. She has made up this whole thing with one of her knights that the queen like slept with all these guys and cheated on Tommen, essentially. There's a trial for her now. The knight that she was conspiring with has been basically whipped to death. And now Cersei, just at the end of this book, has been arrested for treason, murder, I think infidelity, the whole 9 yards. And I think this is leading up to, in the show, we get this scene where she is walking the streets basically in the barest of clothes. Her hair is all shaved off, and people are yelling shame at her, the shame walk. I think we're getting to that part, which was a really powerful scene, and that scene is one of the scenes that made me realize just how good of an actress that actress was. She made me feel for Cersei so much in that scene, and that's a true talented actress. Samwise has made it to where he's going to become a maester. Maester Aemon, R.I.P. Maester Aemon. He has passed on the way. And so we've got that going on. With Cersei's trial coming up, she's allowed a champion, and she has sent a message to Jaime, who is still, out on the run, essentially, doing his adventurous errands of a knighthood. That's kind of, I think that I'm falling or into a slight slump here, because I didn't have much of a reaction to the end. Like, I was like, oh, it's the end already, okay. I expected a bigger reaction from myself, and that's one of my signs that I'm falling into a slight slump. I am gonna give this book 4.5 out of 5 stars, because I really enjoyed not only the other points of views that we got from the side characters, but we also, because of them, got to see different points in this world that we had only heard about before. So we saw the seas with the Greyjoys, and this other place, I forget the name of it, Brachus, something like that, where Arya is, and we've seen Brienne on her journey, and Samwise on his journey. And so we saw a lot of different places that we didn't get to see before, and I really, really enjoyed that part. George R.R. Martin has this way of making his world feel humongous, completely unimaginably large, but at the same time so interconnected with everyone because he goes and mentions things. He has characters in different places mention other characters that we know of from the main character roster, and different events like the death of the Hound, and you know, we saw Arya leave the Hound by the river as he was dying, and then Brienne comes across someone who not only says, yes, the Hound is dead, but I buried him myself. And so that connects that loop, and it makes the world feel so big and yet so small at the same time. And I'm just amazed at how you can do that. So that's going to be it for this reading vlog. I feel really bad that I'm falling into that slump because I've been really, really enjoying this series. So I'm going to take a little bit of a break before I start in on the 5th and quote final book, A Dance with Dragons, and hopefully reignite that excitement that I have. But if you've read A Song of Ice and Fire before, let me know in the comments below what's your favorite book in this series. What did you think about A Feast for Crows? Who's your favorite character? Tell me all the deets in the comments below. As always, my Patreon and my Discord will be in the description below. Keep reading, and I love y'all to the moon and back. Bye.